is filming like a bottle of beer. The wave is coming, but I ain't got no fear. I'm waxing down so that I'll go real fast. Waxing down because fighting rabbits is really a blast. Welcome to Rapid Fighters, friends. We're back. We're rested up, ready to deliver on this groundbreaking, cutting-edge podcasting for you, the esteemed, discerning listener. Greg, you just got back from an island in the sun. Are you guys catching these Weezer references there?
Yeah.
Left and right.
Yeah.
Did you do
Surf wax.
Did you do any surfing while you were there?
No, I was with kids. I went surfing once in Puerto Rico. My wife set me up with a surfing lesson in Puerto Rico, and I was just like, the waves were small, and I was just falling all over the place. And the guy was like, "You gotta like try and stuff." And I was like, "Yeah, I am." You'd think that I'm not, but I actually am not doing a comedy routine. This is me trying to surf. What did you do over the break?
I celebrated the birth of our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ.
Our Lord and Savior. May we all raise a glass to his birth.
As one does.
Brian followed a star down to Waukegan.
I ran into this other guy named Brian. Turns out he wasn't the Messiah, but I followed him anyways.
He was just a very naughty boy.
A very naughty boy.
I went to the Deep South to catch up with the family. There was a letter there waiting for me from the Alumni Association from the University of Alabama asking for money.
They know.
How did you find me?
Did you ever go to a football game when you went there?
No. God, no. Okay. No, I sold my student tickets for rent money.
Oh, all right.
There you go. That's it.
Roll damn tide. With that, welcome to Rapid Fighters. I'm Joshua.
I'm Malibu Brian.
And I am Beach Greg.
All right. Well, on a completely different subject today on Rapid Fighters, we'll be catching up on a semi-current summer blockbuster, 2023's Greta Gerwig directed global sensation, Barbie. This movie had a huge cast. Margot Robbie, Ryan Gosling, America Ferrera, the always fantastic Kate McKinnon. So, Greg, you put this on the list, and Brian and I experienced it for the first time. Somehow we missed it over the summer. So, for the first time ever on Rapid Fighters, we have picked something that is not one, over 20 years old, and two, not set in New York City, and finally three, not primarily from created by or from the perspective of a male dude. Tell us why Barbie, Greg.
I feel like it's a movie that every man should see, probably. It's one of those movies where the premise of it is so wide open that you can do anything with the premise. And it reminds me of the Trolls movie where, I expected nothing of the Trolls movie because like the premise is there are troll dolls, the end. And the Barbie movie is the same thing. And they're dolls. And, you could follow the story of one of them who's like Dr. Barbie or whatever the hell. But like, really, it's super wide open. And they did the smart thing. They picked someone who's known as an auteur and said, hey, look, we want to make $1 billion on this Barbie movie, but we realize it's got to have some feet under it or, it's just going to float away. It's a toy. And so I think they made something pretty worth talking about.
Did you guys grow up with Barbie in your household?
Nah, all brothers. Yeah.
All brothers, no Barbies.
Probably.
Yeah. All brothers and like no progressive relatives that were like, here, a boy is going to have Barbies and you'll play with them.
So Brian, you don't know whether you had any Barbies in your household?
I mean, I had an older sister. I think so. She was I think she was more of a strawberry shortcake girl. And Care Bears.
I have a younger sister, and she definitely had Barbies, and I definitely destroyed a lot of those Barbies by throwing them up into the ceiling fan to see if their heads would pop up. Yeah, it's awful. And I talked to my wife about it too, and asked her, "Did you have Barbies when you were growing up?" And her answer was yes, and I destroyed them. Just cut their hair off and just made them do splits until they break, and just
Yeah.
Just like, we would have gotten along if we were kids together.
And that's the thing. Everyone, whether they had them or not, whether they had an opinion of them, you know, it was like a lot of women I knew when I was growing up were like, oh, Barbie is the oppressor model. You know, it's like how you're supposed to fit this crappy, unobtainable model of beauty.
I'm glad the movie addressed that. Like they brought that in, not as like the overarching angle, but it was
Right.
Sort of palpable and there enough that it sort of drove parts of the story.
It's a very complicated product in the history of
Barbie Wrapper from 1990.
Yeah, and our country is so goddamn commercial that like products have huge influences in people's lives and how they feel about themselves.
Going into this movie, I don't know. It was really tough to sit down and try and be like super objective about it. Right. Just because it's a very loaded topic from a variety of angles. And I think primarily for me, it was that like capitalist angle that was like, I have a big problem going into this with a toy company trying to sell me toys, and this is the vehicle for it. And I feel like I did a reasonable job of like setting that aside, and let's focus on the story and let's try and like absorb it without that coloring it too much. But there's always going to be this like male female dichotomy. The Barbie is definitely, you know, there's a target audience for it, and it's I totally agree with you that it's not required viewing, but it's definitely beneficial viewing for I think, you know, your standard out of the package red-blooded American male for a lack of a better way to frame that. Because it is a really good message, but it was also knowing going into it that I'm not the target demographic.
Why do you say you're not the target demographic? You mean as a male, or as in that you already have like opinions formed and around?
I guess that's a good point. I don't know. I mean, it's Barbie. I'm not gonna buy any Barbie toys. I wasn't raised buying any Barbie toys. I'm not in any danger of buying any Barbie toys anytime soon.
Got it.
Brian, what did you think?
I thought it was well done. I thought they did a very good job. You know, you're kind of curious, how are they going to turn this into a movie, you know? So I thought they did a very good job of poking fun at themselves and being tongue in cheek with the goofy parts of Barbie, right? Like keeping things in there like Weird Barbie, or the ones that got discontinued.
Yeah, all the discontinued Barbies.
all this kind of stuff, like where you're like, how are they going to... Yeah, it's very tongue in cheek. Like, how are they going to make this happen? You know, and how does she get to heal? Like, she floats down, like, or her heel, like that to me was very funny. Like, I thought they did a very good job with that. You know, and I thought it was a good messaging. You know, it just was kind of fired me up in the sense where those opinions are out there, right? Where someone who wouldn't sit down and watch this because it's, you know, anti-men and it's pro-feminism and all this shit that they're saying, you know, is out there. And I think that's really interesting, because I just was coming at it from like a go lucky. They did a good job with this. And I thought it was, a lot of the messaging was positive and, you know, female rights and human rights, and whether you take it which way or another, like, absorb the opinion, see what they're trying to do with it.
I'll say this. I feel like the idea of feminism to me is like the idea of Black Lives Matter, where like if it threatens you, you can twist it any number of ways you want to and make it sound like a bad thing. Black Lives Matter just means Black Lives Matter. Like, they should matter as much as white lives. They should matter as much as Asian lives. They should matter as much as any other life.
Not the only ones.
Not more. And feminism just means like, hey, female lives should matter just the same, and they should be treated just the same as male lives. And like, feminists who are angry at men who don't agree that women should be equal to men. You know what I mean? Like, there are feminists who are angry at men. I'm angry at some men too. I have anger with people who I disagree with, who think people should continue to be treated less than others. So like, I didn't think the movie went far enough, honestly. I think it would be cool if it starts out in Barbie Land and you establish Barbie Land and the Kens and the Barbies are equal and everything's cool. and like they each have rights that are equal to each other. And then somehow they get brought into the real world, and Ken is like, oh, patriarchy gives me more rights. And like he falls in love with the idea of having more rights than women and brings that back and is like, we can have way more than we have when they already had equality.
But you're saying in Barbie Land, in the actual Barbie movie, Ken started off on bottom and then found the patriarchy.
Right. In the real movie, the Kens are shit in Barbie world. Like they're these gibbering little boobs. And then he comes to the real world and realizes like, oh, it could be better for me. But like, I feel like so many men in the real world want more rights than women. Mm-hmm. And if you're satirizing the state of male-female relations, that's where your satire has to start. Your satire has to start with men wanting more rights than women, not being like, equal is good.
I almost wonder if you had to make it so heavy-handed to make it just so obvious so that people really got that that's what they were trying to say, you know? Like, so hit you over the head with it, you're like, okay, no one could possibly miss this. like maybe you have to do that. But
you kind of do. The other thing was like when they, at the end of the movie, jumping ahead, when they all come back and everything coalesces and the Mattel executives are there in Barbie Land and everything's a mess and they start unraveling everything and the Barbies take control again. They basically are like, all right, Kens, you kind of are getting kicked back to the curb again. They're like, but can we have some rights? And they're like, I don't know, maybe like one justice or something.
Nothing important.
Like a lower district judge or something.
Right, yeah. I felt like that kind of undercut the point, you know.
Yeah, I totally agree with that because the plot with Ken starting off as like ancillary to Barbie. I got it because that's what the product line is.
Yeah.
Right.
And so that made sense to me. I feel like it didn't make for as interesting a story, but nevertheless, that's the product line. So there it is. The one major thing I took kind of issue with was that it definitely like played on the us versus them. The only way the Barbies could get their world back is through subterfuge. They had to pick off the Barbies one by one to undo the patriarchy brainwashing.
Yeah.
And basically trick all the Kens into fighting each other by playing on their, I don't know,
insecurities
really,
as men.
Yeah, insecurities, their totally. childish manliness.
Although that was hilarious, man.
It was funny. It was definitely funny. I wasn't like offended
20.
by it. I was just.
Yeah, the Matchbox 20.
Really Matchbox 20 is like, let me sing guitar at you.
Yeah, for 4.5 minutes.
Play guitar at you. Like it's a missile.
Yeah.
It's so funny.
Those little things were funny. Like,
yeah, I want to push you away.
I would have preferred that the outcome be a more fraternal society rather than just as kind of a variation of what they started.
It was a weird like yanking the rug back thing where you're like, okay, that undercuts the messaging a little.
Because the opposite of patriarchy is not matriarchy. It's fraternity. It's all voices are raised up at the same level.
It is satire though. It is a very smart person saying to the audience like, okay, man, I guess we can throw you a bone here or there when we take over. Like, it's kind of like a jokey way of like addressing the way that so many men were threatened by the movie. Like, oh, they want to take over. It's like, they ain't gonna fucking take over. They just want equal rights. That's all they want is equal rights. That's how it should be in the fucking first place. Shouldn't still be discussing this. Like, we had to pass a constitutional amendment that allowed women to vote in the fucking 20s. Like, give me a break.
And it took 130 years.
In
order to get there.
Women are just being allowed to drive in Saudi Arabia, one of the like richest countries in the world. Yeah, there's so much work to be done, and anyone who thinks that there's equality between men and women in the world is fucking crazy. Like, it's not there at all.
There was one part in that I honestly don't get, and maybe you guys can explain it to me. It's the box, and I know like suspension of disbelief. There's a lot of like wormholes and fourth wall breaking.
Put her back in the box,
but functionally, what was her going in the box supposed to do?
I thought it was just a metaphor for putting women back in their box.
Yeah, but
totally, yeah.
Okay, it's a metaphor, but then what? She's in a box on the top floor of the Mattel building?
Well, no, they're going to
where would the story go? Like, I don't
trying
understand.
to capture her to bring her back to Barbie Land.
But she was already willing to go.
They want to zip tie her back to the box and get her the fuck out of there so she can't escape again. That was my take on it.
And I loved that part where they were about to zip tie her in there. That felt very menacing.
Totally, man.
And like you felt like the anxiety of like, oh shit, don't do that. But I still was just like, so is it a wormhole back to Barbie Land? Like, how does it undo anything?
There was a very unscientific method to the whole thing. I mean, like, you have to take rollerblades to a rocket ship to the boat.
Totally. And I felt okay setting all of that aside. It was just that box. I was like, what's going on with that box?
Well, I think the box was just kind of a way for them to control her. I mean, you're saying like she's willing to go metaphor. Back, but it was them to be like, no, we want things to go back the way they are. You need to go back in your box.
And she agreed. The whole thing was she wanted to go back to the way things were.
Yeah, but then when she was like, wait, why are they so eager to put me back in this box? That's when she's like, there's some sinister shit going on here, and like maybe I should actually try to figure out what this is. It led to some cool stuff. I mean, like, I love the weird scene with Rhea Perlman where she's just like the ghost of the Barbie creator living in the fucking Mattel like multiverse or something. Like that scene where she has
and her tax evasion problems.
Yeah, there's just weird, beautiful stuff in that scene. I'm like, why do I like this scene this much? She like touches her wrist when she gives her tea. And I'm like, why do I find that so affecting? I don't know. It was just
That was like the Michelangelo touch of God creation.
Yeah, there's a little
spark there.
That's why you hire someone like Greta Gerwig, who's just smart and like interesting and does interesting shit that other people aren't going to do. You know, these little details get noticed. And I like the soundtrack too. I feel like indie filmmakers always make good soundtrack.
Other than the Tame Impala song, it didn't resonate too much with me.
I know
that Billie Eilish.
The Billie Eilish, the Billie Eilish song at the end, or but you could tell as soon as the smart, like my first comment on what I thought in my head was, it's a smart script, like.
Yeah,
where it starts off with the homage to 2001 when that kicks off, and I was like, oh, okay, like this is gonna be pretty funny, like to kick it off, like the evolution of little girls playing with dolls and smashing
that little
like,
girl with the glasses, that like sweet face little girl with the glasses going ape shit on those dolls.
Yeah. I was like, okay,
that was funny.
This is gonna be kind of funny. If already if that's how they start it. So I thought that was really good.
Yeah. And she steps out of the high heel shoes and her feet are still in the high heel shoe mode. And like, nothing comes out of the shower and she doesn't eat anything. She doesn't drink anything. Like Ken's job is beach. It's just like, my job is beach.
Creepy pecs.
I was trying to think though, whether or not he sort of outacted her. I think Ken stole the show kind of. Once in a while.
This is why I feel like this is why guys should see this movie. It's because like I feel like it's a lot of it is preaching to the choir, where like America Ferrera has this famous speech in the movie that they use to deprogram all the women, where she's like, we can't fucking win.
Yeah.
And like, this is not a radical revolutionary idea for women, right? Like women already know all this shit. They were just nodding their heads as hard as they could till they almost fell off. Like, yes, exactly. So for a lot of women, it was like a welcome echo chamber almost, you're like, yeah, no shit, all this stuff. But like bringing guys into the theater to hear this stuff is super important. Like guys need to hear this stuff. And they also need to see that like men are damaged by the patriarchy as well. Like, being told you can't cry, being told you can't have emotions, being told that like anger is the only way you can show emotion as a man. Like if you watch sports, which I watch all the time, when men are excited, they scream like they're about to go to fucking war. When they're happy, they scream like they're about to go and they smash into each other. When they're angry, they do the same stuff. You're like, I can't tell the difference between happy sports guy, angry sports guy, and I just won the Super Bowl sports guy. It's all the same guy. And like, it shouldn't fucking be that way. I teach my son that it's okay to cry. And he's like, you never cry. And I'm like, I know, because I'm fucking broken. I want you to be better than me, man. He's like, well, why don't you cry? I'm like, because I can't. When I start to do it, I go, go. And like, I want to like hide from people. So yeah, the patriarchy is super damaging to men as well. It just like dehumanizes you, and it makes you treat half of the world like they're less than you.
I only cry when the Iron Giant blows up at the end.
Exactly. No, yeah.
Does it for me.
Ted, you should watch Ted Lasso, man. That's the thing in Ted Lasso.
No,
in this case, what's cool, I think, is that the Ken character is basically a child, and it's a child learning the patriarchy through its parents and through society for the first time. When he goes to the real world, he's like a little boy learning how to be an asshole, right? So like,
I love that he wanted more horses in the patriarchy.
Yeah. And it's so good because like each boy is shown that part of the patriarchy that resonates with them, whether their parents fight it or not, or embrace it. You go out into the world. My son is in middle school right now. He's learning how to be an asshole male from other asshole males who are like, be like us or suffer.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Right?
Yep. I've got one in middle school right now too, and it's a struggle every single day.
I was there too.
We're going to watch Barbie together.
I watched it with him twice. We watched it on the plane.
Oh, really?
And I have to say, man, and if I'm being honest, I was on a big plane full of people and I brought it up on the screen, the little back of the chair screen to watch on the plane ride. And I was like looking around to see who would see me watching the Barbie movie. I'm like, oh, it's so emasculating to have all these choices as a male to choose the Barbie movie and have it be glowing in the back of the headrest. But I was like, just fucking watch the movie. You don't know any of these people. None of their opinions fucking matter to you. That's how ingrained this shit is, right?
Yeah.
As a 52-year-old male, so like, who's going to see me watching the Barbie movie in a fucking plane? My balls might fall off.
Out. A lot of neon.
That's why guys have to see this movie. You got to see this fucking movie, you know?
It's a shame in the film that Ryan Gosling definitely kind of outshone the rest of the cast. Like he had a meatier role, and I hate saying that because that feels like a very stereotypical viewpoint for a male coming in to watch this movie and like, oh, the dude, he had the better role. But I think in this case, it makes me feel uncomfortable to like recognize that. Like he had that great song that was like the centerpiece of the end of the movie. Yep. And so much of the film was it was about deprogramming Ken.
Yeah.
Not so much deprogramming the Barbies, but deprogramming Ken.
Yeah. I mean, to the point that he's, he is not made of what all the bullshit that Greg was saying is, whatever. It's like this, because these things aren't really and it's kind of liberating for him to be like, wait, like, I don't have to be truck guy, So
yeah. And that's too, that there's a good one where America Ferrera, who plays the mom, we haven't talked about them at all really, because I think it's actually the less interesting story. But
the mother-daughter kind of
the mother-daughter, especially the daughter. I think the daughter, you could just shoot her out of the movie entirely. I had no interest.
Hello.
No, she wasn't interesting. She was like a brat, and then suddenly like magically switched around to being like, my mom's cool.
Well, I'll put a pin in that for 1 second, because I think her point was, how do kids today, or like she gives that speech to Barbie when she shows up at the school of like, oh, you set women back generations, blah blah blah. So it's giving that perspective before the mom's perspective, which is that you were meant to empower me and all this other stuff.
That's it. Who's the nerd who was trying to dissuade Barbie? Yeah. Like, oh, they never learn. Who the hell is coming in all the time to talk to this middle schooler?
I know, exactly.
I don't understand.
I know. They're like, oh, she's going to eat you alive. And all
this has happened multiple times? Like, what?
So, like a supermodel blonde woman has come in and been eaten alive by this 13-year-old
You don't want to talk to her. Like, why?
10-year-old girl. Yeah.
That's what I mean. I didn't mean to interrupt you. I was just like, I think that was kind of like her vehicle, like to give that perspective or something. But so maybe
her whole existence was that angle.
Yeah, that one like speech or something.
In a pretty nuanced and like really playful and imaginative movie, that thing showed up like a cue card. The daughter's crap is like, hey, it's a script and I'm saying stuff from a script, and you're like, yeah, okay. The daughter stuff they didn't give her good stuff, I feel like. But the mother, has this speech where she's like, to the Mattel executives, like, can we have an average ass Barbie, basically?
Yeah.
Can we have a harried, okayish mom who just wants to get through the fucking day? And
then Will Ferrell's response is like, no, we'll make money. Okay, yes.
They're like, about money. Yeah. But
capital.
For me, that gets overlooked a lot, but that's the thesis of the movie right there. That's the thesis, because there's so much Barbie on one end and the other. There's oh, look at all the possibilities that you could be. You could be a doctor or a lawyer or a Supreme Court justice. But it's also, you have to be beautiful and be a Supreme Court justice now as a girl, right? So
I'm going to Amazon right now to check and see if you can actually buy a normal Barbie.
Right. that middle ground is can we have an ideal of femininity for girls that isn't a massive achiever who's hot? Also, can we have just a regular ass person who makes little girls feel like it's okay to grow up and be fucking normal?
I'm not seeing one.
Yeah, right?
I don't think they actually marketed one.
Didn't do normal ass Barbie, right? I think they have Barbie in a wheelchair, but she's probably hot Barbie in a wheelchair.
They've got blonde, curvy park ranger doll.
Right, yeah, exactly. They're all hot.
Can you still buy an Alan doll? Ken's friend? All his clothes, all of
Ken's. There's got to be renewal of Alan interest after Michael Cera's performance as Alan. Him beating the shit out of those guards or whatever, construction guys.
The Alan character was funny.
I don't see a new Alan.
But the interesting thing to me is that the two main characters, Barbie and Ken, are dolls, and they walk into the world as children, the real world, as children, and Barbie instantly learns all the crap you're supposed to feel bad about as being a woman, right off the bat. Ken instantly feels empowered.
Yeah, that was a good scene.
We are all, men and women in America especially, we're all these products. We're these products that are molded and shaped by this giant factory society we have that just wants us to buy shit and feel bad about things, so we'll buy more shit. People who are happy don't buy as much stuff.
I thought it was a good angle to have Barbie kind of come in, and like you said, Ken goes off and discovers whatever that,
the world's run by men.
Men hold the power, right? But Barbie's there, sort of experiencing human emotion, what that she sees people laughing and crying, and that invokes emotion in her, and she's like, what's it like to be a human, all these type of things. And so they kind of give her more of a different viewpoint than Ken, who runs off and gets a book on horses or something. And you're like, well, all right, whatever.
Right.
But she kind of goes through a different journey, I should say. But and she goes back to Barbie Land. Doesn't she go back to
she goes
to bring
back
the message back to
to bring this message back or something, right? And then
that the real world's messed up. No, we didn't fix it.
Right. Okay.
At the beginning of the movie, Barbie already has thoughts about death, and Ken is trying to surf on a plastic beach. So Barbie starts off. Yeah, exactly. He's trying to beach. He's going to beat you off. Beat you off.
That was so funny. That was a great character. I was like, that's the PG-13 rating right there.
Yeah. That's like the Pete Schweddy with the Schweddy balls from Saturday Night Live.
Well, what if there's beach? I need to go.
I know, you need an expert.
In the first scene. See, there's beach.
It made me start questioning what the relation. I was going to Google it. I was like, what's the relationship with Ken and Barbie then? Are they... What?
It's on and off. It's been on and off again. Mattel had them in a relationship, and they split up. And then Ken had a makeover in the 90s, and they were hoping to get back together, but then I think they officially split around the
I literally almost
looked
that up. I was like,
that is the storyline.
Because in the movie she's like, I don't love Ken. I was like, wait, aren't they supposed to be together? I was very confused. I was like,
whereas Midge and Alan are a thing.
Oh, really?
Okay. That's canon. That's
is Midge the pregnant Barbie?
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, really?
which my wife and I were discussing, because they made fun of that, oh, it's weird to have a pregnant doll. Like, is it though? Is it weird?
No, it's not at all.
And we were trying, I guess maybe it's weird because being pregnant is it's a transitory state. It doesn't last forever. And to have a doll that is forever stuck in that, I guess might be a little unsettling, but I don't know. It sell well enough and people have a problem with it.
Isn't being 21 and super hot a transitory state as well?
No. There's a whole store named Forever 21, man. Come on.
It's totally not weird that like Barbie stays super hot the entire time she's in your attic.
That was the only angle I could figure, like why that they might have a problem with it. But
but like how many kids
it's
have
educational.
Like, how many kids have like a pregnant mom? Because the parents have 3, 4, 5, especially back in the old days. Like,
man, this is what happens when you have a country founded by Puritans. Like,
I mean, it sounded like there was
shit gets weird.
Some historical Barbie misses. Was it Sugar Daddy Ken or something?
Yeah.
So
they're all the 70s.
Babysitter Barbie who came with a scale and a diet book that just says "Don't eat." Like,
are you kidding?
No, I'm not kidding.
Oh my god, that's so weird. This country is so fucking weird, man.
Yeah, and then of course I mentioned it earlier, but rapper Barbie, which is just regular Barbie, but she's wearing up gear. It's just so fucking lame. Yeah, there's some definite misses in there, but
and like we do it to ourselves. Like all these things were created by society, perpetuated by society, consumed by society. We don't even know where the hell they started. We just accept all this crap as the way things should be. Right down to the fact that like when you go to a toy store, there's like a girl aisle of girl toys and it's all pink and shit. And the next aisle is like black or blue or green and it's all boy crap. And like my daughter would walk through some of the stuff and she'd be like, how come the thing that I want is in a boy aisle? And you're like, I don't know, because people are stupid. Like if you want Lego Ninjagos, you can fucking have them, like, but they should be in the pink aisle for girls. And you're like, ugh, dumb.
To that point, what you're saying, like we're older, right? So some of these aren't, our opinions and our personalities, like being pro towards this message or whatever. But I'd be curious, like as a younger audience, like you said, you watched this with your son. Did he have a reaction to this, or did he have an opinion, or what were his thoughts of seeing this movie, or was it just over his head, or did you have to?
It's funny. Well, we saw it in the theater together because I was like, I want to give him some money, because women directors never get a fucking shake in Hollywood, and if it's not like a blockbuster out the gate, they're like, a woman can't direct a movie, they can't carry a movie. So I was like, we're going to give them some of our bucks.
To be fair, the only people who are saying that are idiots. But.
Yeah, right. Exactly. But they run things, like the Mattel board, which is all male except for one woman. Currently, there's one woman on the Mattel board. But, so we saw it in the theater and I was like, what did you kids think of it? And Pearl was like, weird. She was 9 when it came out. She's 10 now, but she was like, weird. And like, she's hard to.
You're correct.
Get
it was weird.
A read off of. Grant was like, it was weird, but you could tell he was having lots of like thoughts about it. He was like, it was weird. And then like we were in the plane, I was sitting next to him, and I told him earlier, like, oh, I'm going to watch Barbie again because I suggested for the podcast, and it's a long flight, so we watched Creed together.
Is that the boxing?
Yeah, and then we were searching around for something else, and he was like, didn't you have to watch Barbie again? And I was
yes,
like,
I did.
Yeah. So we put it on.
Very nice.
And he watched it. And that scene where she wants to become real and she meets Rhea Perlman again in that white void area.
Mm-hmm.
Rhea Perlman's character is like, I can't let you do this without letting you know what it's like, to be human. And she touches her again and gives her this basically like old, 8mm style movie of different people's lives, different women's lives. And they're actually, it turns out they're footage from different people who worked in the movie's actual lives, including Margot Robbie. And they played that Billie Eilish song in there. And I was like, oh, God damn it. When you have a kid, man, like this stuff, it fucking goes so fast and you're just watching these people's lives race through, and the whole thing hanging over that is like death and, how short life is and stuff like that. Oh, it fucking killed me. And I looked over at Grant and he was definitely like, trying not to cry on a plane next to some fucking stranger. and his dad who can't goddamn cry. And I was like trying not to cry in a plane next to my son who's trying not to cry in a plane, and god damn it, this is how this stuff gets perpetuated.
Well, my 7-year-old son walked in during the Kens fighting each other scene, and he thought it was hilarious.
Because it is. It's fucking hilarious.
He walked in at just the right moment.
Yeah.
He's like, "What is this?"
Really funny, and that's an underrated thing about the movie too. Is it's really funny in a lot of places. You know, like it's really smart humor. Kate McKinnon's character, we haven't talked about her.
Yeah, we haven't talked about her. She's fantastic.
As weird Barbie, that's perfect. Like
fucking weird Barbie is awesome, man.
I had read that for every other Ken and Barbie, they did the lighting constantly behind them. So it's
like backlit them nicely,
glowing kind of.
It makes them look very, very nice. Kate McKinnon, light right in her face to accentuate the weirdness. I was like,
I didn't know.
And there's like little details like that throughout the movie that I think really does like underscore like Greta Gerwig knows what she's doing. Like all the practical effects that they relied on to do the transition phases and the background and the Barbie dream houses. Like, I mean, that's classic great filmmaking right there is when you are not just CGIing and that shit. Because you could have, but the details, it really shows. Like there's a lot of care and love in it.
Yeah, and I was reading that the scales of the sets were done so because they're bigger than everything. So, you know, the way they kind of built it. So I bet they win some awards for that set design, stuff like that. I thought was really well done.
Cinematography was great.
Yep. And I thought the first time we saw the movie, I saw some chatter afterward where people were like, "Oh, Ryan Gosling should get an Academy Award nomination." And I was like, "What? For fucking Ken? No." And I saw it again. And I was like, "He's pretty goddamn good, man.
He's really he's funny in it. Like the lines they give him are pretty funny."
She's better than I remember too. I was like, we were talking about Ken has more stuff to do, more of a journey, but like she has a journey as well, man. Like Margot Robbie does a good freaking job with it. When you see her cry and she's like, "What's happening?" You know, like there's a really like this childlike quality to both of their characters when they jump into the real world. It's really hard to play that genuinely, to recapture that element of being a child molded by stuff. And they both did it really well.
I think Will Ferrell's character is the one I would say that he didn't bring much to it, which might be a good thing. But he wasn't like as over the top Will Ferrell. Like my 7-year-old son came in, he was like, "That's Buddy the Elf."
Yeah.
And I'm like, yeah, I guess it is, but he's like
and
not
he's playing
on the
Buddy
same
the
level
Elf.
as Buddy the Elf. Like he's aged
old Buddy the Elf. Yeah.
I mean, he's essentially playing the exact same character in as Lord Business in the Lego Movie.
That's what I was thinking. I was thinking
exactly the same character.
He's president business. Yeah.
Head of a company, just not doing a voice, just doing a Will Ferrell voice, and just being an evil capitalist CEO
/ dad who glues Legos together.
Who else haven't we talked about here? Michael Cera, he did a fantastic job as Alan. I liked his character a lot, but he was just Michael Cera the whole time.
The forgettable side Ken doll that no one cares about.
I read that Michael Cera actually helped choreograph the Ken fight scenes, which throwback because he is a martial artist from Scott Pilgrim from his time on that. That's throwback funny. To another Rabid Fighters podcast episode there. This is the third studio that tried to do Barbie. It was optioned to 2 other places going back to like 2011. And each time they did like 4 or 5 years, started getting it off the ground, but then just failed miserably and decided to like not do it. The second time, I think Amy Schumer was supposed to be Barbie. And she walked after the director was picked.
I do like the fact that, you know, it's not lost on them. They're talking about like women have to be all this, you know, setting an unachievable beauty standard. And they're like, cut to like, we realize that, you know, trying to make this point, you probably should not have cast Margot Robbie in this or something like that.
Yeah,
that was really funny.
Helen Mirren is the narrator. That's a pretty good get right there. Yeah.
The one character I think was handled poorly is America Ferrera's real life husband playing her on-screen husband. The guy who's like fucking up Spanish.
Yeah,
because
the Duolingo guy.
That is such a bad trope. Is the dumb dad.
Yeah,
the dumb dad of a teenager who doesn't get it, and he's corny and he's goofy and he's just like that. That was his you can't say that, Dad. Like,
Dad,
come on,
Dad.
it's such lazy writing. It's in commercials. It's in every other movies. When you have a dad, they got to be an idiot.
I mean, luckily he's in there for like 45 seconds.
Yeah, luckily. So it's not a big deal, but that grinds my gears.
I'll have to admit, I thought he was the guy from Lord of the Rings, one of the hobbits. Like he looks like Pippin or Merry. I was like, is
Pippin. Pippin.
Fool of a took.
Throw yourself in next time.
Who's the one who wakes up the fucking dragon that ends up like almost ending Gandalf? Like they're in the cave and he
the Balrog.
Something down a fucking tube.
No, he's talking about the Balrog.
Yeah,
that's Pippin. Yeah.
God, I hate that guy. But yeah, it wasn't him though. And I got nothing against the girl who plays the daughter. I just think the script they gave the girl who plays the daughter is a crappy script. It has no development. She's like, I'm mean. Mom, you're an idiot. What? A hot blonde girl? Wait, dolls are real? I'm totally with you. Like they give her no fucking room to even like have a moment.
In the corner. They never listen.
I know. I have a pre-prepared speech for you about Barbie and Barbie's negative impact on capitalism. And you're like,
they were like, come on, let her have it. Like, seems awfully choreographed.
Is this really what they do all day in middle school?
Yeah. Well, and they have kind of and I don't know if I was on like caught this or maybe I made this up, but they were kind of doing like a wink, wink, nod, nod, like we never played with Barbies, right? You know, kind of thing. We hate Barbie. And then she has this whole prepared speech but it's like a wink, wink, like, yeah, we played with Barbies, but we don't want to talk about it kind of thing.
Right. We don't want to admit it. Yeah.
Yeah. I think the movie's messaging is good, even if you are fully aware of it already or believe in that sort of thing, but it's also good exposure for just some of these themes and topics, whether or not you love it, you hate it, whatever. It's like all good films. In some cases it's creating a conversation, right? Good or bad in a way, whether or not you believe it or not. It's bringing things to light that, starts conversations around like, okay, does this exist? Does it not? What do you think? What do I think? And maybe you change an opinion. Maybe you don't. Just watch the movie, goddammit.
Just watch the goddamn movie.
You got to go in open-minded and say, and I should do the same thing. If someone says, watch this, I don't shit on it. Like, watch it, form your own opinion, then have a conversation about it. Like, that kind of thing.
Even if you start out at opposite ends of the spectrum and you don't find each other's opinions, even if you buy into 2.5% of what someone else said and they buy into 2.5% of what you said, you're closer to the middle and you're closer to having people actually fucking understand each other a little better. And I've heard this again and again, that like when the movie came out, women started using it as a litmus test when they were going on first dates with men. They'd be like, have you seen the Barbie movie? And if the guy was like, that fucking piece of shit, they'd be like, bye.
That's fair. It's a good test.
My response would be like, yeah, I beach.
At beach. And I feel like it's interesting that when it's a movie like this, men are like, I'm not like that. And you're like, then why are you upset? They're clearly talking about other men who aren't you. You don't have to get upset because you're just male. If it's like a movie about an abusive relationship, you're not like, I don't beat my wife. It's like, no, of course not. Like,
you sound really defensive, do you? Though?
Yeah, I know, exactly. Like, it makes you wonder.
Lady protests too much.
Exactly. So, like, if you're not represented by the men in this movie, then cool. It sounds like you're doing great.
Fucking move on.
A lot of it's funny, just like the things of like the Matchbox 20 song or like the stupid thing where I don't know how Photoshop works. Move over, let me show you. What do you mean? It's just like the dumb, like
awesome.
Stupid things like that.
Explain the Godfather too.
Yeah, that sort of shit is really
also
I love
fucking
that.
hilarious.
I know. Because I was like, I wish someone would explain the Godfather to me too.
What did she say? She's like, "Oh, can we start off at the beginning? You could talk through the whole thing."
And I've sung to a woman before when I was like 24 or something that I wanted to impress. I don't know how to play guitar, so I couldn't play it at her. But this music was playing in the background. It was a Bob Marley song, and I was singing to her. And I remember her laughing and going, "Oh, Greg, sing to me." And I was like, it's okay to laugh at yourself, like you can have made these mistakes and still think it's funny.
And even the Ken thing where, Barbie talks to him at the end and he's like, to be honest, I lost interest once I found it wasn't on but horses. Like he was just going through the motions for he wasn't even into it anymore.
Leading is hard. I think a lot of men would do better if they could just fucking let go of all this ass clenched fucking maleness that they had foisted upon them and just be people.
Well, I'm sure the Barbie movie brought us all closer together. Well, let's grade it. This week's scale, on a scale of the patriarchy to liberté, égalité, fraternité, the motto of France.
Go for it.
I feel like I suggested it, so I should go last, right?
Okay, I'll go first then. I give it a B+. Maybe just an A-, like right on that line there. I feel like it's the best possible Barbie movie because it could have gone any direction. Mm-hmm. Yeah. I am loath to think of a better plot or cast or everything that went into it. They obviously was a labor of love. I think I would have liked it more if the impossible could have been done and you can decouple that capitalist, crass, consumerist message from the movie as a whole, but it's coming from Mattel and it's about a product. So I recognize that is asking too much. But nevertheless, that does dilute the message, whether you like it or not. That does dilute that ultimate message that they're trying to get across.
And not to like, I want to jab in there for one quick second because I thought that was fascinating, right? Because it's made by Mattel, but they take some jabs at themselves in a weird way. Like they were, or I thought that was interesting that they were okay with sort of being the pseudo bad guy in a weird way.
They rolled the dice there, because they did, show themselves as being like this terrible corporation, knowing that people are probably going to walk out of the theater not really thinking they're a terrible corporation because they said that we were a terrible corporation. Okay. Like the knowing it's not really like that. So I give it a B+, A-. I feel like this Ryan Gosling person's going places. We'll probably
never heard of him.
Hollywood, put him in some more movies.
Right,
who's next?
I'll go.
Brian's next.
B+. Same. I mean, I feel like along the same lines as Joshua. I think you said it perfectly. I don't know if there's a better way to make this movie in a way that's not a cartoon or just completely stupid. So the way it was done, I thought was smart. I thought the writing was funny, sharp. There's going to be hit misses in there somewhere, but great ensemble cast. Like I think it had a really good message and a point. Even poking fun at itself and those type of things. And even if you go beyond that, we talked about like soundtrack and set design and the way they kind of cast the people. I don't know if you'd get a better Barbie and Ken. Like it just was, I thought it was just really well done for a Barbie movie. Right. So, and to take something like that, like as Josh was saying, like from a toy company about something that's very divisive and turn it into something that's funny but still have a point, I thought was well done. I mean, I was hesitant to watch it, but I'm glad I did. I thought it was a good movie. Will I be returning to Barbie very soon? I don't know, but probably not. But maybe in the sense like
I will be showing it to my sons. I was
just going to say in the conversation if I have with somebody, like if they say got that same reaction from someone, so oh my god, why? Like just watch it.
Just fucking watch it.
Because I came from the same perspective, not that perspective, but more of like I just didn't really have an interest because I was like, it could be corny and stupid, and they're wearing neon yellow rollerblades, and I don't really care, not thinking that there's more under the waves to it than that, beach. But so that's how I would say. I would say I would recommend someone to watch it. Don't just shove it off because it's a movie about Barbie. So, anyways, B+. B+. I'd say I kind of want to say A, but
I don't know. I'm right there.
I'm kind of in that. Yeah, I'm in that zone.
I would give it an A- borderline A. I would have liked it to actually have gone further. Like I said earlier, I would have liked to have seen Ken have equality, go to the real world and just crave extra and come back and be like, in the real world, men are actually extra powerful. And they were like, yeah. And then they have to break that down. So I feel like that was a bit of a missed opportunity. But
I don't feel powerful. But
and that's the thing. So many men are like, I'm poor and I don't have rights, and I don't even like. But it isn't because you're male that these things are true.
Yeah.
You know, it isn't because you're male that you don't have
fucking
power.
Majored in philosophy. That's
why. Isn't because you're male that you're poor. It isn't because you're male that you live in a trailer park or in your parents' basement. You might have majored in philosophy or fucking performing arts, like some idiots that I know. But yeah, but beyond that, I will say any movie that takes an iconic toy line that has been around since 1959 through the 2020s.
Stolen from the Germans.
Well, who cares, right? Like, is it stolen from Dune? Did Frank Herbert invent Barbie?
There's no still suit Barbie.
I don't know. There was a lot of sand.
I know. I'm waiting for a sandworm to come up under Ken and swallow him whole when he's feeling despair.
Still suit Ken. That'd be awesome. Mattel, if you're listening, make a Dune Ken.
It's the only way I'm buying it.
A Benny Gesserit Barbie.
We will plug it on this podcast.
She comes back to Barbie Land and all the Kens have glowing blue eyes.
I'd fully support the Benny Gesserit Barbie. That'd be hilarious.
I mean, there's your matriarchy right there.
There it is, right there.
Ken has a weirding module.
All Dune references aside, I will say any movie that takes an iconic toy line from the most capitalist society that's ever existed on planet Earth and ends the story with the two main characters in this manner, Ken busted down crying, wondering who he is and what his place is in the world, and Barbie wishing death upon herself so that she can become real. That's a pretty gutsy fucking movie. And I feel like they couldn't go all the way with some of the shit they wanted to say, and they still do attack Mattel, even though they pull some of their punches. It's a pretty gutsy fucking movie, man.
What'd you think of the ending? Because they kind of set it up as if she's going to go to a job interview and she's going to be a powerful whatever. And I saw there were some criticisms of like all this, that, the other to be a human. Then they end it with like going to the gynecologist or something. That's what it means to be a woman or something like that.
I thought that was hilarious. This goes back to what I was saying earlier, like America Ferrera's speech about can't you just be a regular ass woman, you know? And like one of the most basic things of being a regular ass woman is you have to go to the gynecologist, you know? So it's like, hey, it's your first day in the Supreme Court. Congratulations, Barbie. It isn't that. It's like,
yeah, I thought they were setting it up for her to like become the president of Mattel or something.
Right,
like
exactly.
Yeah.
But like, it's telling little girls, like, you know, it's like America Ferrera was talking about, like, it's cool. You don't have to be hot, sexy, amazing, model quality Supreme Court Justice Barbie lady. You can just be a woman, a regular woman. And this is what a core thing of being a regular woman is.
Greg, you make me feel like a natural woman.
It's funny to me, but it's dumb.
All right. Well, another successful episode of Rapid Fighters in the can, guys.
Yeah.
What's next week? Brian, you're up.
Brian,
you're choosing?
I'm up,
man.
I've been Waffle Housing between two of these. I think I'm going to go with the one I haven't seen, John Carpenter's They Live. Just because it has, I'd never seen it. It has Roddy Piper.
I've seen it.
I was like, I got to see this. And I was between that and Big Trouble in Little China, which I've seen 100 times.
Oh,
and it was really just based because I want to watch it again. So I was like, oh man, I'll go with the one I haven't seen yet. And just because, am I the only one that hasn't seen They Live?
Yeah, I've seen it.
I've seen it
several times.
Yeah. I've seen it maybe twice, I think.
Next week we all wear sunglasses.
I don't even know the premise. I just see what wrestler Roddy Piper and
I wish I could watch it again for the first time. So
I got Fangoria magazine when I was in middle school because I tried to be into horror so that I could seem like edgy, you know. And they told me all about They Live, so I saw it in the theater. Yeah, man.
Am I gonna like it
as an adult?
I saw it in a hotel room. Like I turned to the TV and like a work trip and was like, I'm watching this thing, man.
Well, now I'm excited. It sounds like it's good.
I'm excited to see it again. I haven't seen it in 15 years, so
I'm hoping it's like The Thing, which I really like a lot.
I love The Thing, man.
The Thing has better production values.
Oh, really? Okay.
By far. But
it doesn't matter, though.
It doesn't matter. No. This movie.
Nope.
Yeah,
it's special effects proof. Yeah.
Okay. Well, now I'm excited to watch this. All right, Aqua.
See you next week.
Aqua, play us out. Oh, we can't afford Aqua.
I don't think we have the rights to that.
Barbie, something. Barbie.
That's good enough.
Yeah, that'll do.
Yeah, Ryan Gosling's a dreamboat.